South African Union of Students announced a nationwide shutdown of all 26 universities from today. The group has listed 15 demands, including the clearing of all historical debt and the extension of registration until April. To find out about how the nationwide shutdown transpired, we're joined by the South African Union of Students National Organizer, Yandisa Zoyiya, and the University South Africa Operations Director, Dr. Linda Meyer. Dr. Meyer, let me begin with you tonight. We've heard the call by students. Let's talk about the meetings that are taking place amongst universities on the best way forward, and if in fact there's going to be a collective response to the demands that are made by students across the board.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. University South Africa met today with all of the Vice-Chancellors, and we have a meeting scheduled with the Minister of Higher Education and Training tomorrow morning, after which we will be issuing a response.
What were some of the issues that came up on the part of universities when it comes to this call that is being made by students, and perhaps some of the very lived realities of the difficulties that institutions could well be finding themselves in?
So I think that if you could just allow me a minute just to explain the context of the issue.
Sure.
Is that 60% of our, thank you so much, 60% of our students are covered by the NSFA system, 20% of students are able to afford their tuition, and then there are the category of students that we refer to as the missing middle. And this category of students has great difficulty in paying basic fees around registration fees, and they also have this, the bulk of the debt, this 10 billion rand debt that we see that is currently in the university sector. So these are some of the issues that we are dealing with, is to make sure that universities do as much as possible to allow students in so that they can commence with the academic program for the year. There are a myriad of issues that we are grappling with, and at the forefront of this is to ensure that both our students and staff are safe. But we are not naive to the reality that this missing middle category of students, and these are households that earn between 350 and 600,000, that this category of student needs some sort of policy certainty. We need security. Alternatively, we're going to be dealing with this issue again next year and the year after that.
So at this point, have there been meetings taking place between yourselves as University South Africa and the South African Union of Students?
Yes, there are many meetings taking place. There are ministerial task team. We meet with SAUS, our CEO, Professor Ahmed Bawa, meets with the SAUS president regularly, and there are many working groups where we engage with the South African Union of Students. We see them as a social partner, but we are also alive to the issue that it doesn't matter how many meetings there are. If we don't deal with the systemic issue of the short funding of students in the missing middle category, this is not going to go away. We need to find a sustainable solution. We can't expect students to listen to us over and over saying the same thing. We don't have the finances as the university sector, and we need to find the financial stability to ensure that the system can continue and to minimize the impact on the academic program.
Let me bring into this conversation the SAUS National Organizer, Yandisa Zoyiya. Yandisa, good evening, and thanks for being part of this conversation. You've had the day to implement the national shutdown, and in fact we have seen quite a number of institutions shut their doors today, some opting for learning, at least on virtual platforms. What happens tomorrow?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having us as SAUS. First point is that the institutions that have not closed today are the institutions that are finishing their academic year. And as a result, we have said ourselves, the 5 institutions that are finishing their academic year must be given space to finish. As soon as they finish their academic year, to joining the national shutdown. We are going to close tomorrow and the day after. Well, the shutdown can end today, can end tomorrow. For as long as the demands are not responded to, the shutdown will continue. But if tomorrow morning the demands are responded to, then the shutdown will end. The shutdown is merely depending on the higher education sector NSFAS and the universities.
We've just heard from the University of South Africa saying that they're holding ongoing talks with the minister and, you know, including conversations with you as SAUS. Talk to me about how these negotiations have been going and what is being said behind closed doors, because as far as the Department of Higher Education is concerned, if you look at the statement that was released by Minister Blade Nzimandi's department earlier on in the day, it gives the impression that the department feels that they are doing the best that they can and there's nothing more that they can offer students.
That from what Professor Bao said in our meeting, universities are ready to meet government halfway. They are ready to meet SAUS halfway. We know for a fact that about 3 universities have committed to the part of our demand. We know that UWC have cleared students, CPUT have cleared students. Nelson Mandela as well have sent communication to the SRC to say that they are willing to engage on clearing all students to register. So we are saying that University of South Africa, from what Prof. Bauer has said, it seems as if they are ready to engage the minister. But the minister, when we called him into our meeting, he refused to come. He displayed high level of arrogance. He deployed the deputy minister, and the deputy minister who could not communicate on anything that we had said in our demands. Basically, what then the deputy minister came to say was something that we wanted not to hear. The SRCs were not willing to hear. We encouraged NSFAS. NSFAS showed their side of trying to reach the demands, but we are saying that there is nothing that can be done if the department, University of South Africa, and NSFAS are not willing to engage SAUS. We had called for the CEO of NSFAS to come. He did not come. He sent the COO. We had called for the minister to come. He did not come. He sent the deputy minister, meaning that they are not taking our engagement serious. Now, we can't, as SAUS, sleep and stay in our rooms when there are students who are not registered, when there are students who are excluded, when there are students who even want to apply, but they can't apply because the quotas are not being increased by universities.
Dr. Mayer, when you have this conversation with the minister tomorrow, from the perspective of the universities, is there more support that you think is needed from the higher education department for these missing middle students? Or is it a case of seeing what some of the institutions have done, such as the Western Cape, taking the initiative and saying, well, we'll let these students sign these acknowledgement of debt forms and allow them to continue until such a time as they're able to pay the institution back?
I think that we need to be pragmatic in this discussion. And we've asked universities, please, to do everything possible to allow students back onto campus. So be it that students sign an acknowledgement of debt, but we must understand that many of these students are coming from poor households. I mean, and that the future repayments might be very difficult for them. So the problem is just being extended. And therefore, we'll be engaging with the Department of Higher Education and Training and other social partners to work together to try and find a meaningful solution to the missing middle student problem. Because it really doesn't help that we allow students in this year and next year we sit with the very same challenges in ensuring that students can continue, because it's very stressful for them. It's very stressful to know where they're going to find registration fees. Some universities have waived registration fees, and we need to find a solution that works for everybody, that is financially stable. If we look at NSFAS, for example, NSFAS is funding 575,000 students this year across the higher education and TVET sector. Last year, they funded 486,000 or thereabout. So there's been a significant increase, and this is what's caused the 5.6 billion rand shortfall in their budget. But notwithstanding that, the department gets about 100 billion in their budget, and 75% of that money goes to the university sector, and 44 billion of that goes to the NSFAS sector. And this simply is not enough to fund the missing middle category of students that are sitting with real challenges in continuing with their studies.
the South National Organizer, Yandiswa Nzoia, and the University South Africa Director of Operations, Dr. Linda Meyer. As you heard today, the students are continuing with the protest. Well, we'll wait to see what comes out of that meeting between the minister and the universities on how to assist those missing middle students that Dr. Meyer was speaking about. When News at Prime continues, the Department of Higher Education and Training responds to the student national shutdown. Do stay with us.